Hello dear Rauta friends and welcome to a ZINE review. This is actually a long overdue one because I actually read this during the summer, but for a reason or another I have been postponing to the actual review. Then again, this is anyway quite late considering that this is a fall 2008 issue. Probably new ones are already out there, but nevertheless, since this was sent to me for review, here you have it. So welcome to Headbangers ZINE number 9, fall 2018 review. As you can see, this is quite a big one as a zine issue. Interestingly enough, this is kind of a ring bound. I don't know what's the exact word for it, which makes it very easy to read. Curious enough, this is also plastic covered with transparent plastic sheet, whereas a typical zine is, well, it's more thin, it's bigger in size, it's not ring wrapped, and it's definitely not plastic covered. This is actually a really good thing. For example, I was reading this when I was traveling in France. I took it on the plane, so it was really easy to read because when you just like have to put it away, you're just pretty much putting it like that. It doesn't really matter. Whereas typical zine, typical magazine or whatever, you just kind of have to bend it so it's not so comfortable to read and see where you left off. But this one is, I think, very nicely laid out. Having these plastic sheets or pages are actually protecting the covers, back cover as well. And because of this ring wrap, well, turning the pages, browsing, or whatever, it's really easy. Given that this is more than 200 pages, so there's a lot to read, really. As you can see, lots of material here. And it has some colors too, so it's not just black and white zine. Obviously, most of the inside is just, it's black and white with quite a lot of images, I might add. It's, as you can see, this is filled with images, be it interviews, reviews, whatever. So it's nice quality in that wise. I mean, technical quality on this zine is very, very good. I mean, everything is just nicely printed there. You can even read small print like this, which is, for example, a festival poster. I mean, this is very, very readable. So technically, I would have to say this is top-notch quality. Unfortunately, when it comes to the actual material inside, I have to be a little bit negative here. But let's start with the more positive parts. Now, the positive thing is, because this has so many pages, there is a lot of material. I'm just trying to get you a little bit of an idea. There's not exactly a index to just browse, which is a little bit a negative thing. But, I mean, we start with interviews, for example, here, like Manila Road. Then we have Dirty Talking. And we go on with... I'm sorry, Dirty Talking is the name of the pages, obviously. We have Witch Cross, we have Heavy Load, we have lots of underground bands. There's just lots of bands. When you go through these stuff, you can pretty much see that there's so many interviews that you just kind of lose count. And then obviously we also have gig reports, we have album reviews here. So there are interviews, short ones, longer ones, and just a lot of material here. Whereas a typical review is pretty much like this one. So it's short and sweet, and that is actually part of the problem. So content-wise, lots of material here and more on the underground stuff rather than the mainstream ones. The good thing is that these pages are not just dedicated to certain genre. They are not just about black metal or death metal. They're not just heavy metal, thrash metal, but you can find pretty much material from hard rock to kind of a classic heavy metal. You can find black metal and all that stuff. And this cover pretty much sums it all. I mean, you just have different styles, and that's a great thing from Ern to Iron Regan. So this is very kind of a overall zine, which is kind of a nice. I mean, considering that many people just want to go a little bit further and farther than just stick to the one sub genre. Now, the most negative side on this zine is, in my opinion, that most of the interviews are quite lazy ones and they are way too short ones, and they keep repeating the same questions over and over again, even if the interviewer is different from one another. So it starts basically like kind of a small talk, and sooner it's just over. I mean, you just waste basically a page to asking like basic questions. How are things? How was tour life? Blah blah blah. And then you're like, okay, have a nice day. And suddenly like, okay, I didn't get anything out of that because they are so short and sweet, except not that sweet. Some parts are better than the other. I mean, there are longer interviews as well, which in my opinion are way more interesting than the short ones. Also, most of the metal reviews, and I know I'm kind of a biased because obviously I do reviews on my own, but I mean, they are way too lazy more often because they're just like short descriptions like, hey, this is very hard ass death metal album from Belgium. Just look at the cover, very interesting one. I really like the second album. That's it, buy this one. I'm like, so where did the description about the whole music went to? How are the sound like? What are the vocals like? Is there anything to mention about lyrics, covers, whatever? I mean, it's just like, with that amount of text, you should be really focusing on what's the album like? How is the band gonna sound? I mean, you can't be as positive or negative about any band like, I really hated this band when it came out 20 years ago and I have not changed my mind. That's fun thing to say, but obviously you need to tell why it's so bad. This is not about going on an ego trip about your opinions and whatever. So, okay, I'm going really negative here, but I mean, my point is, I'll give you an example. I tried to browse a quick one here. So, many times these reviews are just way too short to kind of give you a good idea. The reviews are... I totally, by the way, hate this because it's just like... interviews and reviews are all mixed here, but here we have it. Take a look at texts like this. This is way too... Now the zoom is working. Okay, you get the idea. For example, this is a kind of a book review, but just look out the amount of text here. Now the zoom is not working properly, but I mean, basically you have no information here, whatever. And way too often these reviews start like, blah blah blah, it's back with a new... You don't have to tell the band that it's back. You just wasted a couple of lines doing that. For example, here we have a Judas Priest review. I don't know what the zoom and bright light. I just can't know how to do videos. I mean, it's just wasting too much time telling about 1980s and about how the band was formed. Everybody probably knows about Judas Priest that much. So if you have this amount of text and you basically tell about the album about this much of the review, it really doesn't help. So, to kind of recap the whole zine here is like, I really like the layout, I like how this is technically done, but there should be more focus on the quality of text versus the quantity. Less is more sometimes. And I would say more focus on single interviews and reviews rather than just putting a huge amount of material and then you end up like skipping half of it. I read most of it, not every bit, because the live reports were already like 1 or 2 years old when I got the piece of this, so really not helping me anyway as a reader. But I think for some reason Headbangers zine is definitely worth giving a look. Just don't expect too much, so don't spend too much money on this one, but I like how the zine culture is still doing strong, and these kind of underground releases, or publications rather, are put there for people's reading pleasure. So give it a go if you feel like you don't need in-depth stuff. And there you have it. Go check out the website and figure out for yourself. But I would roughly give like 3 stars out of 5 max. See ya and bye bye.